Here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. Okay, here I am, Lord, I come to do your will. So, what is the psalm saying about God's will? So, the first thing God is saying, I waited for the Lord, and he stooped down to me. He heard my cry. Happy the man who has placed his trust in the Lord and has not gone over to the rebels who follow false gods. So, in the will of God, the first thing God is asking us to do is to stay away from all the things that are not of God, like our Buddhas or our yoga or the things that have nothing to do with Jesus and the life of Jesus that take us away from fortune telling, all that kind of thing. So this is the first thing God is saying. I don't want any false gods. I'm your God, and to live accordance to the truth. So what's the second part of the psalm? God says, you do not ask for sacrifice and offerings, but an open ear. You do not ask for holocaust and victim. Instead, here am I. So this is like with divine will, that God is asking for your obedience. So God is not asking for you to think, I have to kill myself with sacrifices and climb Cross Mountain 100 times. That mightn't be God's will at all. That might be just something that you want to do. So we'll say if the priest said to you, I want you to stay home and do the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and you were really annoyed because you wanted to climb Cross Mountain so many times, you get so much grace from staying home and doing your Divine Mercy Chaplet, because God is telling you that's what I want you to do. So you get, your graces come from obedience and not from being a big victim soul and doing lots of penances, because St. Teresa of Lisieux confirms that there was a nun doing a lot of penances in the convent, and St. Teresa says, no sister, I think you're wrong, go the way of mercy, don't go the way of thinking you have to prepare for all your sins. And she didn't listen, and in some way the nun was able to reveal to St. Teresa that St. Teresa was right. Go the way of mercy, go the way of obedience, and you don't need all the sacrifices. That's God telling you. A lot of the things that you do, God, it doesn't give God any joy at all, those heavy penances, if they're not from Him, So here's the third verse here now, what God is saying about doing His will. In the scroll of the book it stands written that I should do your will. My God, I delight in your law, in the depth of my heart. So this is the third thing God is saying. Okay, the first thing is He's our only God, and stay away from false gods. The second thing is listen to His voice, and don't be making up penances for yourself and doing what you want to do. Only be obedient to God, what He wants you to do through the priest. Now the third part is He's saying, I want you to listen to my Gospels. What did Jesus say when He was on this earth? You've got to live the commandments. So He's saying, I have laws, I have commandments. You must fulfill my commandments. If you love me, you must keep my commandments. And here's the fourth verse. Your justice I have proclaimed in the great assembly. My lips I have not sealed. You know it, O Lord. So the last verse is telling us that we are expected to defend God in public. So us going to Mass is confirming that we believe that Jesus is there. The one thing that Satan wants at the moment is to close the church, so we have no Mass, because we lose Jesus. So you going to Mass every day is confirming your belief that Jesus is there, that He's forgiving your venial sins, that you're taking part in the sacrifice of the Mass. And God is asking you to do that in a public way. If you get graces from God, tell others, Jesus gave me that grace. My life got better because, Jesus has lifted me up. So that's God. In a public way, you're supposed to defend Jesus and not just keep it for yourself. Okay, so, I don't know, there's a few people here at different levels, so I just wrote down a few things about divine will that I've learned. So the divine will teaching comes from Jesus and Mary. So Jesus has revealed His teaching to Louisa, and also she saw Our Lady. So Our Lady has a little book of Our Lady lived in divine will, and there's a consecration to Our Lady, so that she's going to help us live in this way. We know that Jesus lived in divine will. So this is confirmed by the church. So the church has published a book about divine will. So we don't have to think that the two theologians of the church have studied it and have gone into the teachings and have said, This is in accordance to our faith. The Vatican have published a book on it. The hours of the Passion are completely approved, so we don't need to think about that anymore. And if somebody says to us, that's not okay, whatever, then just send them to the church and say, no, the magisterium of the church has tested this and said that it's true. So the only thing is now that we do it, that we prove that it is true by doing it. So we must strongly do it, not think about or let people put us off. The church has said this is true. The same way as when Our Lady comes to Medjugorje and gives us a message. We're not to think about that. Like, if we really believe Our Lady's coming to Medjugorje, we're meant to do that. Not just think, I wonder, is that a good idea? You know, maybe that doesn't apply to me. No, Our Lady's coming to give messages to all of us, and we must take them very seriously and live them in our life if we want our life to be good. So it's the degree of how we take our faith seriously is really important. So, divine will